Um, Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming to the inaugural first reading, which is the same word as I just did my own synonym there. This is why I'm not a poet. Hello. Welcome to the first live reading for the Coolidge-Wagner Anthology of Recorded Poetry. I am beyond thrilled and privileged and honored to be able to bring these four poets to you. These are four of the four poets from the first 5 releases, and they are Kyunghee Kim. And this is the order. It's going to be Kyunghee Kim reading first, then Emily Howard, Chace Morris, and Sherina Rodriguez Sharpe. Because we are short on time, I will not give you elaborate bios about how much I admire their work, but these poets, their poems never cease to move me. I think it's exhilarating what they do. Also, I do want to give a quick shout out to the Anthology of Recorded Poetry that is now a project that I'm working with the Ann Arbor District Library about. It's that we're just going to have a continuing series of recorded poetry that's going to be available to the public on the AADL website or accessible via any streaming service through a podcast. Another key thing, if any of you know any poets who would be interested in being a part of the anthology project, please have them reach out because we want this to be as wide of a swath as possible of the poets we feature. Once again, thank you for coming. Big round of applause for the poets. And then following the reading, we're going to have a short audience Q&A. All right, thank you and welcome, enjoy.
So this first poem that I will read is called miyeokguk, and miyeokguk is a Korean seaweed soup that newborn mothers eat when they give birth after. And it's also called a birthday soup because it's what you eat on your birthday. And this poem is a reflection of when there is strife or distance in a relationship, sometimes you have to go back to the beginning of where you first met. 미역국. If you were born out of division, I was born out of tomorrow. Your silence carry history before me. You mean protection, I see abandon. I talk between the lines, you speak in scripts. I try to wash my heart clean of Han, your soil, your air, only way of loving me. Mother and daughter, this is who we are. When we forget, we go back to the start. In the beginning, we spoke the same. This meal that birthed me into your daughter, that birthed you into a mother. 미역국 is our birthplace when we forget. 미역국 is our forgiveness when we can't. Mother and daughter, this is who we are. Strangers who needed each other, out of the sea, this wild creature, unruly, desperately clinging to your warmth while you fed my insides. You nourished my being, months on end, a holy ritual. When you soothe me with 괜찮아, you mean hope for you and me. Now I see my birth means your death. So my heart carry Han while we live in Cheong. 엄마 and 딸, this is who we are. Next poem is called A Second Chance. And this poem speaks about the mysteries of grief, especially of a passing of a season, of a person, of a place, and how perhaps this passing can also mean a second chance. In Korean, the phrase for I miss you is 보고 싶어, which translates to I want to see or I want to see you. And perhaps we fear what we won't remember. Grief is selfish that way. It hovers like oil-stained kitchen walls after a feast, clings like glitter from a Hallmark card. The way it sticks like old honey, thick, heavy, impossible, searching for something, someone to grasp. Since you left, there are only 2 days, before and the after keeps on moving without permission. The before getting hazy, like a low-grade fever, and I'm waiting for its break. Time seems to move in 2 spaces, how everything that happens will happen again, and how everything that happens will happen without you. I used to live in the before and made it my home. Images vivid and fractured, what you call memory, I call currency. Resisting the pain to surrender until surrender became breath. How even the clear sky must give into the fog in order to feed the living. When does the snow stop falling, knowing it will be caught? On a child's palm, a wish, or drapes over bare branches, grace, or glistens on the gloomiest of faces, hope. When does the snow stop falling with confidence? People say a death is a death, but only the dead knows how to change its form, to live even. Like the snow that transforms with ease, your passing is not a noun, a period, the final, but a second chance. And no matter how muddled or bright or imagined, as long as one of us remembers, the end is not the end. This is a very short one, only 3 lines, but it just kind of speaks of emotions, community, and the need to be seen. It's called Emotions. When the lid is closed shut, even a slow simmer will overflow, erupt eventually. The way some things are. So this is based on a true story. We have this underneath our roof. There's this perfect place that every spring a mother bird tries to build a nest. And every single time it doesn't work because the wind actually blows that way. And it made me kind of think about, what kind of decisions would we make knowing that that thing would end? Would we continue to cherish it? Will we still love it? Will we still be passionate for it? The way some things are. I saw a mama bird building a nest on the crevice beneath a roof, sheltered from the wind. In her rhythmic song, she swoops in and out, twig by twig. With her mouth, she gives it a name, a home. What she didn't know, what I didn't have the heart to tell her, is how many mothers have tried. Without a warning or reason, the wind blows the other way. Precision in hunger, it succeeds. I am a dreamer, but these days I ask to be crushed before hope, before pain, before greed gives life to possibility. I'm going to share one more. And this one it speaks about time, memory, and what does it really mean to cherish the now before it becomes the past. Visitors of time. You lose a little to gain a little, but I want it all. I like to make precious out of something that wasn't. And maybe that's why I rely on memory. Breathing life into a thing that died, only to bring it back just the way it was. At least the way I remember it. The way you and I remember it. When does the past end and present begin? Blowing out candles on a cake, rituals that stamps these 12 months. Do we wish for the future, reminisce over youth, or apologize for not making most of what we had? How do we mark a passage of time? Is it language? That was, you are, we will. Is it reminders on our blue screens that flashes on this day? Curated square images, blurred or clear, accurate or imagined. Memory is regret of what could have been. Memory is embrace, treasure things no one can steal away. Memory is that moment that only happens once. Time, a memory's mother, scolding us with confidence and tells us like she's speaking gospel. One day you will look back and say it was good. It takes innocence and wisdom to savor before it ends. Remember when that used to be? I miss. When I was here. Everything changes with time, and time changes everything. But time isn't singular. It multiplies into what we give it. Today becomes yesterday. Tomorrow becomes today. Pouring magic, legends, fairy tales, ghost stories, we end up gushing to our friends and children. A secret club, a collector's club, whispering to each other, I was here, you were here. We were here in this place on this tender day, lingering over the sunset, eventually bowing into the sunrise, trusting that it was good. Trusting it is good.
Hello. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here tonight. My infinite thanks to Chen for inviting me onto this project and having, I hope not misplaced faith in me. Thank you so much to Chace and Sherina and Kyunghee for reading tonight, and thank you so much for everyone at the Ann Arbor District Library who set up the chairs, who booked the event, who are running tech. Thank you for everything you do to make this happen. So one thing, I am much less nervous than I look. I have an essential tremor, so my hands shake all the time. So I'm going to be struggling with water and paper up here, but part of that is hereditary. So, all right. So my first poem is about a family dynamic that might be familiar to you, and it's one that I'm thinking a lot about this time of year. You know, like when one member of a family hurts someone else, but then the person who is hurt is told not to talk about it to protect the person who hurt them, but you can't actually say don't talk about it because that would constitute talking about it. So this poem is an imagination of what that you can't talk about it would be like. And it's called Who Could Be Hurt at This Hour? You turned out so skinny. You got that degree and a job. And we don't know why you cut your hair so short and didn't have any kids, but we love you as is. If it didn't mean telling you, we'd tell you that we all have similar stuff, and if we all sat down and showed it off, it'd be like hell's garage sale or the dogs getting into the trash. So why don't we not? Who would ask for him to apologize when you know who your Lord and Savior is? Who would ask to be recognized when you're so thin you could turn to the side and disappear? This next poem, so a lot of things happened in the summer of 2020. And one of them was that I got a lot of email. And I got these emails with these subject lines, and I don't know if you guys got the same thing. They were mostly from like political organizations and nonprofits, and they just had these subject lines that were just so stressful. I just started writing them down. And this poem came out of that both apocalyptic feeling of that time and the messages that were being delivered. Subject lines. It is because the box happened to be in a strange, sheltered place, wedged away and buried beneath others, that it survived. The cardboard top, which could hardly be called a top, crumbled in your hands as you removed it, and under that, what you found was not promising. Books pasted together, warped, warbling, wet and dried many times in thick layers that sheared off in chunks in your hand. But you kept looking, hoping, and you did find that underneath, protected by the mass above them, some books were saved, fresh, loose, and dry. And you opened one and found this poem. I regret that it is a poem about email. You have never seen email, but know that people used to use it, that your grandparents did. Messages piled up in a box like the foundations of old Troy. Do you remember Troy? Even though it was destroyed 3,000 years before I was born, to be swept away each day. In my time, email told me how to feel about living through my time. It said, "We are in an epic battle. Stop what you're doing and listen up. This is a disaster, urgent crisis, and dangerously close last chance. Oh no, scary news. Are you worried? We blew it." It turns out I have no such message for you, that the things you say to a person in the future are very simple. Hello, thank you, I love you. I am sorry, please forgive me. So my next three poems, I have a poem of heartbreak and a poem of love, and then a poem about the giant deep sea isopod. The poem of heartbreak. As I get older. To have arrived at this late hour, to have arrived at this late age, at the desk hovered over by the red lamp in the dark room, still waiting for you, where piles of folded paper in front of me, gently open like soft dinosaur bones, my ancient words written over their oversides. To have arrived at this place, still needing love, conspiring forehead to head with the red lamp to make paper words for you. There is no conditional, no clause to close it. Still listening to the old songs, still waiting for a word from headlights through the dark window. I haven't grown up. I haven't given up. This next one is called, it's not untitled, it is called Untitled. It's like that every day now, presenting myself for annihilation. You caress what washes through your fingers and returns to the source. You are making and unmaking me at once. Name me, and the unnameable arrives, torn open, silent, arrows tumbling out. Taste me, and what the tongue learns is beyond saying. A shape that could be rolled into speech, but remains a delicate fold outside the reach of language. All right, so the giant deep sea isopod is this amazing animal that lives in the bottom of oceans all around the world. They can live hundreds to thousands of feet below the surface, and they basically live on whatever crap falls far enough down to get to them. So you might want to Google them in the safety of your own home if you are scared of bugs, because they are kind of nightmare fuel for most people. I, however, love them. But to imagine what they look like, you know those little pill bugs, those little roly-polies? So you just like click and drag to resize until it's like this big. And then you put some swimmy parts on it and you put it at the bottom of the ocean. So I was thinking about the giant deep sea isopod one day, and I was also thinking about commitment-phobic straight men. And this poem is what happened, and I found it funny at least. I am a giant deep sea isopod, and other things to say to heterosexual men. You could say I'm deep. I'm used to operating in high-pressure environments. I'm generally satisfied with scraps and leavings in case you are worried about overcommitting. I'm pretty self-sufficient, surprisingly mobile, and willing to travel across predatory wastelands for a little bit of intermittent meat. But yes, I am complex, more than meets the eye. You never know when you'll turn over a word and find 14 legs underneath. Thank you.
Don't trip, don't trip. What's good, y'all? How y'all doing? Y'all all right? Y'all all right? Yeah, make some noise, make some noise. I love noise. I love noise. My name is Chace. I want to reiterate the thank you. Thank you for bringing us together, Chin. Thank you for bringing us together. Thank you to these lovely readers I get the pleasure of reading with. And thank y'all for coming out tonight. Fate brought us together. I'm excited that y'all are here. Hopefully you leave with a good word. I'm going to jump right into it. So over the pandemic, I wrote these things I was just calling rhetorials or meditorials. I didn't really have a title for it, but I was writing these poems because as we all were in those times, and we're still in those times, we were trying to figure out what the hell was going on, and so we were writing. My way was poetry, and so I was writing kind of like daily poems about current things that were popping up or that would come to me. So this first poem is one of those. We'll call it Otherwise. And it was based off of a rewatch of Donnie Darko. If anyone's seen Donnie Darko, the laughers know what Donnie Darko is. It's an odd watch if you haven't watched it, but it's a beautiful movie in its own right. And there's a quote in there where a teacher, I believe it was Drew Barrymore, she says the most beautiful combination of words in the English language is cellar door. And I always thought that was just an interesting concept of what is the most beautiful combination of words to you. And I had heard somebody at the time say the words otherwise. And I thought otherwise was just a beautiful combination of words. And the concept of, like, we use it as like a, kind of a connector, but the idea of other wisdom in a time of like fake smartness and misinformation and having to base yourself on another intelligence that sometimes is beyond your eyes. Otherwise. In times where wisdom fails, let me be otherwise. I know the giant oak across the street from my house is switchboarding convos between me and Uncle Vernon's heaven, which is different than Papa's heaven, which is different than our dog Bo's. I know the molasses croon of my mother chops the river right below its surface, and if I baptize faithfully into natural quiet, there she is, laughing behind my eyes. Deja vu dream church beneath my skin, mercury boned. I retrograde out a party without saying a word when the vibe rots. May my body ferrule out its last stitch of shame, possessed by the mutual rage of a drum traded vote for votive in salt circles, chanting triplet outside in November chill like a possessed Migos after empathy won the popular vote and still conceded the clout. Love didn't even get an in memoriam at the Oscars this year. Cut short shooting to a commercial about a pill that seats the body like a conservative judge. I have not lost my mind and expatriated to humid Colombia and is beckoning me to follow. Crazy, they say I look like you. For wearing white with sing-song gravitas like a full moon. For growing money under its light. Trading faces with it every month, for keeping the candles lit and guessing cancers and Aquariuses under my breath with stunning accuracy, for quitting the job and quitting the Job and returning the victim back to the deck, for pulling a new card, for loving Obatala and Oshun like rings in my own oak, for ancient but family. Crazy? Listen, since I never met the man, I claim you as my father. I listen intently to you. As we share a brew in the rain, my ears decode the wind at the last minute, and I turn and take the back way or the long way, and I avoid the accident by the exact timing of my lateness. Otherwise, it's such a beautiful song, misquoted, underused, obscure vinyl I chop and sample into sentences of small talk and other performances. I choose it today as one of my names. Otherwise, like the fungi turning a Gulf oil spill into a bed of tulips or a shirt pocket Bible blocking the bullet. Otherwise, like the family dog sensing sickness, ulcer to uncle, or the pocket juvenile found in the song Ha, or July evening in Treme when I found myself crawling through the hook of that song again, Bayou Mud in my 38th year, but this time discovering feather and bead and Olay and cane juice. I exist for me and the beautiful woman who's owned my heart this last decade, and we scatter our bones chicken-like across crisp white linen and read better futures for ourselves in our leisure. Loyal to my intuition like the stubborn ache of an old knee in the rain. I know when to run the streets like a surprise 77 degrees in January and when to stay my ass home. Otherwise, let's hit this one. Let's do this one. Yeah, let's do this one. Switch. So another one of the poems I wrote was during the time where we were finding out, like, a lot of the newspapers that we enjoyed, that we liked, were closing. The journals that we read that gave us information were closing. Twitter was getting bought by Elon Musk, and, like, all these, like, information reservoirs that we were finding where we were dependable is becoming, like, non-dependable. You know what? I'm gonna read that one next. This is about reopening the economy. This is what I'm gonna do. This is what everybody was saying, reopen the economy. The poem is called Reopen the Economy. And it was just written around the idea that there were two different economies that people were asking to be open. There was the economy that never closed, that people demanded because they felt entitled to certain things and did not want to collectively be safe. And then there was a whole economy that opened magically for 2 seconds in the lockdown, if everybody remembers, when everything was free and gas was cheap and everybody had things. And this is my complicated feelings around that. God reopen the economy. They screamed, reopen the economy, and I responded, hey, fuck you, man. Our economy never closed. Cashing your thoughtless self out at the register, lambeering the 20-second pack of toilet paper from your shopping cart, deciding between asthma or door dashing your chicken tenders right to your porch, prioritizing your order over the governor's for the 2-star rating and the $1 tip you cut me with because the restaurant forgot your honey mustard. Explaining myself to the cops, you called on me. Fist fighting you at the front door of Costco because you refused to wear a mask. Asking you to maintain 6 feet at checkout as you counter theory the latest epidemiologists using your dedicated masters in YouTube. Been here. Open as an abandoned house, still bone sturdy with copper. What else can I give you? Here's the very breath from my lungs, the clotted right leg. I'm here, socially undistanced at the meatpacking plant, removing the list of homeless shelters you quietly taped to my door of my apartment after I told you I was furloughed from my job due to 8 confirmed cases and 2 deaths, turned away from your emergency room with flu-like symptoms and trouble breathing, but yes, I got your 4th Corona Rita. They scream, reopen the economy, and I ask for whom? Which door? 36 years and I've never seen so many doors open. Aisha juggled 3 knife-shaped jobs to feed her family of 4 because the state enjoys the circus of a black woman death-defying with no net. Now the fridge eating up to the tune of $500 a month. My sisters are making more money at their new job of not having a job than they did at their old one. Jericho, everywhere I look, paywalls tumbling down, woke up on the west side of Detroit and was in Cali one-on-one with Timberland learning sample flipping before coffee thawed the sleep from my crusted eye. I haven't paid a utility bill in weeks, months. Bad Wi-Fi is the great equalizer. Celebrity is dead. I am coming through clear. Fro-biblical. Errant hair is patching the cheeks of my finest blaxploitation, half fly, half pajamas. Depression is holding a sharp worry to the throat of a neglectful, faceless senator for once, got them talking 4-day work weeks and monthly stipends and student loan forgiveness. I had a 12-hour meditation yesterday of video games and limeade in which I forgave myself. I planned for more than the next meal, washed all my clothes, found 42 lost socks, wardrobe looking like Avengers Endgame, grapefruit and Costco croissant for breakfast, sauteed garlic and onions, the good cheese, splurged on the red wine. 2 blocks over gas is 49 cents. We are open over here. Jody got a healthcare provider for the first time since adulthood. I've never seen so many grant applications, not asking for 700 words of my pain. Relief has become the new religion. Rena ordered new couch foam, cushion foam and pillow covers. We've been symbiotic with the couch, not one muscle spasm and shame. Capitalism texts, hey, big head, 12 days ago. Still left on red. She building pillow forts with his kids between conference calls, and I'm on my 5th rewatch of Queen Sugar, and I say all this to say, this is my new normal. I say all this to say I'm never going back to that normal. Quarantine has become my true president. Access rights laws and judges my court. All it took was equity was a death no one could buy their way out of. A death that rich politicians couldn't lobby for allegiance. I do not say this with glee or pride. Yes, the grief collects in a queue just off screen, vivids my dreams. That is, if they even show up. They ride shotgun next to sleep most nights, patrolling wherever the light falls short of keeping a black protester watched and safe and seen. I wake up at 6:52, sleep at 3:45. My body disarray, but it's my disarray. I am learning and willing to learn this. I buried the husk of the old, hateful predator country in my backyard, next to whatever patriotic corpse we're living through now. They fertilized the weeds gloriously. A new flag sketched on a napkin, a constitution on the back of a stack of receipts pinned to the vision board in my office. I read them like a map. Is it locked down if you find more humanity inside of it? Was it COVID that killed my loved one or the self-serving arrogance of a government pumped their maskless coworker with? I reopened my own economy. Care is the new dollar. Rest dictates the stock market. What's in your wallet? I'm going to do. Okay, let's do this one. I just brought up a group of poems and just doing the best I can. This poem's called New World Water. It's an excerpt from a larger poem that we've done for a ritual. I figured I'd share some of it. Yeah, we'll go there. And I wanted to share this because I was gonna do an actual intro for this poem, but I told them I was gonna do something different and share a weird fact on one of my poems instead of a good intro. And so I want everyone to know that Tyrese has a Benihana in his backyard. And if you don't know who Tyrese is, just look it up. Tyrese Benihana backyard. Thank me later. Okay. New World Water makes the tide rise high. 20500 White House. Can someone explain to me the difference between the American government and euthanasia? Am I not paying more and more money to people I do not know to conceive of more resolute ways to kill me? I do not know what else to call my tax dollars nowadays. Don't know what else to call this new world water cycle. Cop City anti-abortion laws, second Trump term, Project 25. Don't know what else to call books banned before assault rifles, $1 billion bomb budget, but your kids starving at home. Everything American history outside the delicate white page, coddling it. A Mississippi photo of a child's smile that crops the lynching. 48502 Flint. New World Water makes the tide rise high. It's been 5,000 days and Flint still does not have clean water. 5,000 days and you still think it's just Flint. Flint only wanted to take a bath, quiet a thirst, talk to their grandmother tomorrow, only wanted Skittles and loud music with his friends in Florida, maybe a Rello in Ferguson, maybe a cigarette in New York. You know what all water is entitled to, a park in Cleveland, to imagine life on the other side of the gun, a store run, a cosplay, a head full of barrettes and a little sleep on a couch in Detroit, dreaming of a future drive home. A traffic stop and being alive at the end of it all, name still intact, still a child, but not yet become the water. But no, instead, they pumped Flint full of lead. And do you know it took 11, 22, 4, 55 shots before they called Flint an investigation, before they ruled it a crime they magically committed on themselves? How many not guilties miss your heart by inches? How many politicians they empty into that boy in Baltimore? Am I mixing my murders again? 48228 Cody High School, West Side Detroit. New World Water make the tide rise high. Ask anyone who's ever worked in Detroit public schools and they will tell you, replace the word water fountain with politician and it still fits. Can you tell someone to come fix these politicians? All these politicians don't work and the ones that do are so filthy you can't even use them. Let the politicians run for a little until the brown stops coming out altogether. No, sorry. We don't have enough in the budget to replace those politicians this year, maybe next decade. All I've ever needed to know about America, I could find driving from a Detroit school to an Ann Arbor one. 48221 Detroit, 55407 Minneapolis, 40211 Louisville. There is lead in everything I love now, so I reclaim the bad metal of my blood to shape myself into good instrument for both my living love and my ancestral talk. The water with the jazz of my spit I transform to fulfill a promise to my dead that I could not in their life. You can become anything you want. What do you want to be when you don't get to grow up? And a black life answers in hurricane and hip hop, almost dances Florida clean off the map, disperses, learns to say their name without a mouth for the first time, and somewhere all the water in a cop's blood quits, mutes the organ, snatches the failing music, rinses it and gives it to a mourning mother as a song to get out of bed for again. New World Water makes the tide rise high. I don't know about your faith, but everyone we've lost is still right there in the water. The sea levels rising is us uncivilizing our rage. there's so many of us at the bottom of the depth right now, still churning the water, always running like Minty and Shotgun, like Fred's Mouth in Chicago towards a freedom. The water is ours. Taught us to bolt the body in dead descent and throw the dog. So of course they bleach the pool. Proximity to it turns the brown body into an antenna. I hear my mother anytime I take a shower. So of course they flint the sore. State hates the very moisture on my breath. Chose a wage of war on the domestic soil of my lungs. $200 vaccines and not a ventilator for miles. But the water is ours. Blood intuition, Orisha kiss. A couple years back, them folks jumped that black man down in Montgomery and water carried a black boy moving boat to dock, gator speed to throw hands. Baby, I am writing this from an undiscoverable, unstealable body. A clicked up lake of wild art and improvised ritual. Out of sight, underneath the city, in a world overrun with thirst. From behind a pair of eyelids, you are too afraid to go down. In a city you can't wait to move to. From a free Detroit and Flint and Puerto Rico and Hawaii and Congo and Palestine united. A succession of clear skin and no dialysis. And that is, I think that's my time. Is that my time? That's my time. That's my time. Thank y'all again. I appreciate it.
Taking in so much magic, I'm just trying to, whew. Chen, it is always an honor to create anything with you. Thank you for this. Emily, Kyunghee, Chace, thank you. Thank y'all for being here. And a huge thank you to the library for having us and letting us churn this kind of magic. Thank y'all. I have 3 pieces. The first is called Vocalise. Make a pretty ah. I was too young to audition, but Grammy told me that the dean of the voice department knew that we were special. So curious, after my grandmother convinced her, she let me sing. And my grandmother nodded at me, so I let the ghost slip sideways up my marrow, slithering down to slip my shoes off my feet until they were splayed, arched cold against the floor. These ghost hands tunneling through my spine, fingers braced around my neck, rocking me. Ghosts have no voice, but they were planting sounds in my stomach, and I opened my mouth to let their harvest rise. Open. This dean was astonished for a moment. Singing isn't really about singing. Who isn't intrigued by a good haunt? My grandmother had always taught me to channel pain, to let it rise up the column of my throat, a tiger leaping through fire. And she trained me to be the voice for the acid welled inside of her. And where Grammy's song was a sorrow-laden hummingbird too leaded to fly, my tongue persisted. The dean cast her gaze over me. She said, "My dear, only 12. Well, aren't you an undeveloped Kathleen Battle?" Opera is the art of wearing everyone's abandoned pain and channeling it through the body, making it pretty enough so others can experience the thrill of devastation and return home rinsed and secondhand humanity. The dean looked between the two of us, my grandmother and me, my grandmother's neck stretched in anticipation to hear whether or not we really were special, and me still heaving with this pulsating haunt, and the dean opened her arms. I had a home, because wasn't opera the natural next step? Make a pretty In violence, art can either envelop or it can exploit. The summer I turned 12, I told my grandparents that my father was violating me. And when I ran to my grandmother, she wasn't surprised, but she said, "Your father was wrong. But imagine how he feels. Go comfort him." And instead of therapy, my grandmother gave me opera, an art where our testimonies were in a language that no one understood. And when I sang, the tiger ghost clawing through my ribs came out, but people applauded her. People applauded her. Make a pretty Art either envelops or it exploits. Often exploitation masquerades as love. Exploitation. My grandmother kept delivering me to my father, more and more insistent that I needed to love him. Papa, a French restaurateur, and Grammy would bring me to the cafe to sing arias matched with the spirits he'd chosen. At 15, in perfect Italian, I'd stand next to the piano, letting the tiger ghost climb. Batti, batti, oh bel mazzetto. Beat me. Hit me. Your poor Zerlina. And I shall stay here like a lamb and await your blows. Lascerò strozzar gli occhi. Pull out my hair and pluck out my eyes, and I shall let you do these things and happily kiss your hands afterward. Opera. I am a goat prompted to pray to the knife. The only song I'd sing in English was my grandmother's favorite. Hush, hush, hush. Little baby. And my father always led the ovation. From the back of the room, he'd bellow for me to close. Du o mio bambino caro, Babbo Pietà. Father, pity me. Pity me. A setup. My family grinning for the photos as I wrestled with the discord. A growl choked in my belly because no one teaches you how to sing the truth. And what is the sound of betrayal? Spread your fingers and curl them into a witch's claw and shape your mouth into an ugly, whispered, ha, and look into the emptiness of your trembling hands and let your voice heave. What is the sound of fury? Make two fists and open your mouth wide enough to swallow the entire sun and let your fists pound your thighs, and the wind has become feral and you become feral too. What is the sound of realizing that you are the sacrifice? We have not woven enough language to hold the gusts of that kind of sorrow. There is no song. Only the thunder of a sky collapsed to keep the peace. The most vulnerable person holds everybody's pain. Make it pretty. Call it aria. Call this opera. And what is the cost of belonging to a song that does not love you? Call that cacophony. Was there altruism in Grammy teaching me to channel pain? Pain is a good show. Good shows bring audiences, and audiences always laud the ringmaster because the little tiger was trained to jump through fire. This is a Tetra message. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for being in that with me. This is a Tetra message. My partner, Chace, and I, we run a digital underground railroad, a very secret project. And we send out messages. And this is message number 750. It's called The King's English. Your Eminence, isn't tonight a good night to clean house? Open the windows and let the haunt out. I'd like to call an ancestor into the room. I'd like to honor my Aunt Patricia. Your Grace, let me tell you about my Aunt Pat. She had this thunder in the very back of her throat, and she'd unlock that thunder and call you a motherfucker. Like nobody had ever pronounced it ever before. She said it like she was humming a hymn. Her curses blue-black obsidian. Black is simply the space where everything is possible. And her voice was a rumbling of indigo rasp, a velvet so luxuriously sapphire, folks didn't truly understand how dangerous it was. Her motherfucker was an anointing. If she baptized you with that honeyed smile, you ascended wholly into the land of her milk and her honey. But if you'd forgotten yourself, and she had to come to you and say what nobody else would, well, trust that this was an inferno of your own making. My great-granddaddy, her father, taught her that a woman never curses. She speaks the dictionary. She is a master of the King's English. But my Aunt Pat never apologized for the power of her instrument. I mean, didn't Gabriel have his horn? Didn't Moses play each half of the parted sea like turntables? And God gave Aunt Pat the full moon bath in the back of her throat, and she commanded that bath to boil at will. And when polite company bristled at her cussing, she always said, "Baby, I got to give it to you in the language that you understand." I always wanted to know where this thunder came from, and she told me that she found herself married to a man who liked to fight, who liked his house clean when he came home, who liked to think of himself as a king. And Aunt Pat at 4'11", well, she was outmanned. So one wintry day, she cleaned herself up and she wiped down every corner of the house until her ammonia-dipped reflection glowed pine fresh. Dinner humming, gravy brewing in the fire's eye, onions happily smothered beneath the chops. And when Uncle came home, he hardly noticed the clean. That Pabst Blue Ribbon in him still wanted to fight. Some folks, you can try to please them all you want to, but they just got too much of the world bottled up in them. And she said to him, "Look, baby, I just cleaned the house." And he looked around and he saw the house cleaning, and still he was cuffing up his sleeves. And she said, "Now, if you want to do this, let's go down to the basement where there's space. We won't tear up the house." And my uncle smiled and started taking off his good work shirt. She said, "Let me just turn off the stove." And she met him at the basement stairs, where she took a deep breath and she said, "Okay, let's go. After you." And he nodded and he started down the stairs. And at about the third stair down, she put her little foot square in the middle of his back and she said, "Motherfucker, no!" And she kicked my uncle into the mouth of the basement. She sent him into the black, into the space where everything is possible. Locking the door behind her, she went back to the stove to fix herself a plate. Now, when she told me this story, she said, "Renee, motherfuckers will sit you down to see if you have the strength to stand up. The world will whoop your ass and tell you that you gotta be nice about it. But anger is the power inside of you that lets you know you're alive, lets you know you're worthy, that you mean something. No, baby, that fire in your throat, trust it. Let it cook. Trust it to bubble, to singe, to be where it needs to be. Trust it to create, and then trust it to protect what you created." She said, "Baby, fuck being nice. Be kind. And the kindest thing you can do for a motherfucker is give it to him in the language that he understands. She said, baby, when they go low, you kick them down the stairs. She said, say it. When they go low, you. Kick them down the stairs. When they go low, you. Kick them down the stairs. She said, this motherfucker thought he was a king. Baby, I gave it to him in the king's language. And that is how my Aunt Pat crowned herself. And it was hard to believe that my uncle ever wanted to fight, because every time I saw him afterwards, he said, give that woman what she wants. Ritual. This year, 2024, wanted to fight. It sat us down to see if we have the audacity to stand back up in 2025, to be who we were called here to be. This New Year's Eve, I invite you to invoke Aunt Pat, to clean the house, open the windows and let the haunt out. Let the air rapture anything that's been too heavy, and call your highest elevated ancestor in and let them whisper to you as you're cleaning. Ask yourself, who was I called here to be? And just before midnight, say out loud to yourself, I vow to hold myself sacred. I vow to give 2025 the King's English. And then 1 minute before midnight, find yourself some stairs. Open the back door and tell 2024, you go first. The Tetra. One more, or am I done? One more, okay. All right. Thank y'all. The Black Filipina Dictionary. And this is for Donna Kate Russian, who wrote the bridge poem. Bridge. That's a noun. Have you any idea the lung capacity necessary to inhale enough sky to hold our combined gravity? Hold. Verb. When a woman defines her own name, they'll whip her till she froths a spill of mangled doves. Cocked, crooked, blood-thick comets anointing the hissing sky. See her swing low? Swing low, verb. Got so bad, she barred the door and dressed herself in preparation to meet God. See, spider queens spinning webs from breath. See, no one breeds a black girl, a Filipina, to kink silk for herself. See, devotion. See, double back, too. Re-Harriet everybody across your braided spine, your bayonet and invitation, double back. Harriet? Verb, as in Tubman. Means to uncage a mangled bird and sing her name until she levitates, till she knows her way home, home. Noun, as in Nieves, Fernandez. Verb, two, to go into the deepest jungles of yourself and find that which is most sacred and steal it back. Two, Nieves, Harriet. How many have you plucked, stixed, milked, and honeyed, haze, velveting your voice, cooing, what's higher than north, our brown lifted holy till amen is a remolded. Not of the Latin hymn, but and that's a verb, as in Mahalia, as in the hum we make as we slow dangle into the promised land. Promised land, noun. See, we don't put our hands up unless we know what we're reaching for. See, follow? See, why is Sandra lying down in her mugshot? See, this is Detroit, and Detroit is midnight, and doesn't Woodward owe Vincent a truer freedom song? See, the upper room hemorrhaging. See, Corin. See, Sandra. See, Ayana, too. Can you suck enough nirvana to choke the bolt thrust back into your barrel? See, if all bridges matter, why you keep crossing me? Verb. See, bridge. See, be a good girl and fork your tongue around Papa's good word. Noun. See, bridge. See, refracted through prisms that redistribute. My name, code switch. My name, tunnel. My name, butterfly. My name, see, daughter. See, ruin. See, decayed. See, echoes. See, echoes a noun. See, mimic. See, mirror. See, mama engineered me to reach the other side. Verb. My mama unlocked her vertebrae to bridge her spine from Belletti to Detroit, mistake her for cobblestone, too focused on her left hand, raised sacral. Raised sacral. Yeah, you thought it was raised in surrender, that you didn't see her holy hand winding up her skirt. She caught bullets between her lips. Caught that amen in her carbon sky. In her call and response, she said that she calls and I respond. Said she sees lead to deliver me, a remolded hallelujah. She looked at me and she said, Lord, remember the sweat. Sweat, noun. Water's always in service of calling forth truth. See, to mold holy water, we dab hallelujahs into our cupped hands until God comes. Call this conjure, call this pulling the spirit right up out the reservoir. But two, to bless the river, they whispered nigger into it 7 times, and they called this a flint anointing. See, Detroit is codenamed Midnight on the Underground Railroad, the last stop before freedom. And when you get to that river, you must cross. See, they tried to teach our tongues to be too curdled, to defy the current. They call this cottonmouth. See, to undo the call over your tongue, simply speak your name in the voice of who loves you the most. See, then they dance to their own haunt. Banshees, squirrel disastrously twisting under the danger of your name. Spirits moaning in the key of lead. Verb. Sis. Begin like this. It is safe. Cross. Knowing it ain't never been safe. See, double back and begin again. It is safe. Cross. Remembering that none-I means mama, and her first pulse is our gravitational pull. Remember each morning waking up feeling too much and not enough, each morning to inhale and believe the sky will hold me upright, and see, mama said there's enough nirvana in your name to levitate. See, mama named me after the echo of her popping wires. My mama was a double-jointed drawbridge, said, get tired of arcing and splitting. Remember, your name is the gospel. See, swing low, sing rite of passage, see midnight, see nobody knows how to call your name quite like you. My mama said you get tired, get you a mirror and call your own name. Close your eyes. Taste your name in the back of your throat, looping on the back of your tongue. And just feel yourself push that sound into open air. Say your name. Let it cross. Warriors earn their weapons by learning to define their own name. Didn't do it. Begin again. It is safe. Remember, in my language, my name is pronounced promised land. And here we harriet each other free. Cross. It is safe. To harriet means to uncage a bird and sing her name until she levitates. Cross. It is safe. You harriet me like this. When the world tries to origami me small, sing my name louder than anything that ever tried to fold me. Cross. Touch the destruction inside of yourself. It is safe. Get a mirror. It is safe. Look into your own eyes and see every system that has to burn. Cross. It is safe. Haze your name. Speak your name. Have the courage to speak your name until you hear the flight pattern whistling each syllable. Speak your name into velvet. Your name, feathers. Your name, mother tongue, conjure. Your name, drinking gourd. Your name, spirit chant. Your name, braided map. Praise stepping us home. Cross. It is midnight, and this is how I want to be loved. Get you a mirror and speak the gospel of your name, and watch as these plantations ignite in lines like sugarcane at harvest. See into that fire, it is safe, and touch the creation inside of you. I am here to birth the new world. Cross. Let the ginger fire of your name shiver up your hips, crackle your spine, popping joyful like fireworks. Yes, let the joy of your name rise into a current the way water rises unapologetically, flooding maps, rivers, washing every cell of your body open. Cross. It is safe. Look into your own eyes in the mirror and see that your joy has always had a rhythm outside of oppression. That staccato in the celebration between my great-grandmother's indigo poems and your Lola's feet planting tinkling in the dirt. Let that pulse sing in your bones. Cross. Hasn't this rhythm always carried you through? Cross. Electric is gospel. You are a shrine to the unconquerable. It is safe to let this joy rise. Invoke on memories of what it is to cross. Arms flung, intoxicated on your own beauty, drunk on your own heaven. It is safe. Get you a mirror and say, I'll mourn anything, too scared to see you whole. And you eulogize anything too broken to hold my name. Cross. And this love between us will conjure a reckoning of ancestors. And I'll be the alchemy that you've prayed for. It is safe that in my language your name will be pronounced. Amen. See, this is the conjuring. See, when you look into your own eyes and you say, Lord, baby, when you look into your own eyes and you call out your own name and you say, Lord, God comes. Thank y'all.
Look, I'm just going to call them all up. One more round for Sherina Rodriguez Sharpe. Reverse order. Chace Morris. Emily Howard. We're going to treat it like a sports recruit. And Kyunghee Kim. I would like to thank the Ann Arbor District Library for hosting this and being collaborators with me on the Coolidge-Wagner Anthology of Recorded Poetry. Specifically, I want to thank Rich Reddy and Matt Dubé, Jackie, Ben, Tyler in the back, who I think has run so many. I feel like we know each other too well, Tyler. Though I don't know if he knows any of my secrets. But other than that, thank you all for coming and attending this. Again, if you are a poet yourself and would like to be a part of the anthology, please come talk to me after. If you know a poet, please contact me that way. Thank you, Aiden. Anything else we need to do before we're gonna do we have time for a quick Q&A?
I mean, I'm not gonna kick anyone out.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Hello, yes.
Are these poems published? Where can we get them? Where can we find them?
Oh, there's one mic, so I think you guys,
Oh,
if
okay.
anyone wants to answer,
We
we're gonna
will-
kind of,
We will
yeah.
Destiny's Child ourselves around the mic.
Yeah. How should we do it?
Kyunghee, you can be Beyonce if you want.
Okay.
And let me hear your question. Where can you?
Are these poems published?
Oh, thank you. There's a microphone. And thank you for asking us.
I see you right now.
Oh, wait, turn it on.
Test.
Is it on? Is it on? Oh, it's on. Okay. Were you answering that?
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, she meant for them out there.
Oh, for the audience
I got
members.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'll run it to
Thank you, Chase.
Yeah.
We're working it out.
Hide behind. Oh, thank you.
Boom.
Oh, and this is for us.
Okay. There.
Testing? Okay.
Some are the poems published? Was your question? Thank you. And where can you find them?
Some of them are in anthology, right?
Some-
Some of them are in.
Yes, like on the website is where the, here, I can do
There you go.
The website, on the Ann Arbor District Library website, we have the recordings of these. I think people have published them in individual spots, correct? Some, but if not, I think that's the best way. Or if you have a streaming service like Spotify or Apple Music, they're all on there in the Ann Arbor District Library podcasts under the Coolidge-Wagner Anthology of Recorded Poetry.
Thank you. Amen.
Thank you. Any other questions?
And I would love if you, we have,
Email, right?
we have, our own little secret project way of publishing things. So if you or anyone else would like, to be on that list, then we will gather your email before we go. To make sure that you get a copy of anything you want. Thank you for being here.
Other questions? Anybody? Yes.
Hello, wonderful people.
Hello, hello.
So, are there any other projects that you have going on that you may want to make the audience aware of? Are there any other things that you're connected to that we can know about to follow this great energy that's like changing portals on the planet and ley lines and, you know, fighting the power? Yeah.
Come on, fight the power.
Nice shirt. I love it. I love it.
That's beautiful.
Start with you.
Thank you.
Oh, no, I'd rather feature your guys's,
Okay, we'll
yeah.
start.
Yeah, you guys start first, yeah.
Well, the first, I guess, the thing we have that's most pressing is our project, the Tetris Digital Underground Railroad. So it's a project we've been doing for the last 6-7 years. And it is some of the top secret project that's kind of coming out. It is art, it is ritual, and it is digital and in person. So if you want to know more about it, it's all word of mouth. Please give us your email, and you will be entered into the portal so that you can see what we're talking about. But that's the biggest thing. And I'm using my really auspicious, mysterious voice so you can get signed up. So yeah, I would say please come to us, give us your email so we can sign you up. We would love to invite you out to an event. Yes.
Generally, my method of publishing is like the other Emily, and people will just find a bunch of hand-bound books under my bed one day after I die. But I do have a website that's emilynhoward.com where these pieces are. And I'm working on making some zines and actually hand binding some stuff, and I'm working on doing everything, typing up with a typewriter and manually binding a book of prayers called A Book of Human Prayer right now.
Yes.
So I can only make so many copies, but if you are interested, I would love to hear from you.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Emily N, as in Nick, Howard.com.
Thank you.
So I'm currently working on a book of poetry as well, and the poems that I share tonight are going to be in that collection. Also just collaborating with other artists and writers, like Chen has just done an amazing job bringing the community together. And my published works are on my website as well. It's just my name, kyungheekim.com. And my vision for poetry is really exposing people to the spoken word through various art forms. So through poetry readings like this, through short films, through art and music and dance, and yeah.
I'll share one last thing. I also do music as well. So my music name is Mike Wright, MICWRITE. So if you're into hip hop, you can see the non-mysterious work on Spotify. MICWRITE. Mike Wright. On this chain, yes. Thank you.
For myself, obviously, there's this anthology. But if you look to the right there, 1473 is my is the record label that I run, digital record label. So there's a lot of Metro Detroit and Ann Arbor artists featured on that. We're part of a performance collaborative, Kyunghee, Sherina, Jean, who's there, Francis, Sozette, Okyung. It's called Island. It's IS with a slash land. That's WW. I'm not gonna start doing HTMLs right now. I'm not. I'm just gonna sit here with HTTPS. www.is-land.org. And then there's my first, I gotta say too, Mike Wright, it's fantastic. Like, Chace's stuff is fantastic. There's also videos. He has videos.
Yes.
And they're very cinematic. But any other questions? Oh, yeah, my website, chennyuan.com. Yeah, there you go. No HTML. Any other questions?
Can I tell on this person
Oh.
who asked the question?
Oh, yeah.
I just want to tell on the person
Tell
who
on
asked
it.
the question,
Tell on.
who happens to be one of the finest drummers in the
Yeah.
world. Just wanted
Don't
to
look
put
behind you.
just wanted to put that out there. No, really, like one of
No, he really is
the most
incredible.
amazing
Percussionist.
percussionists in the entire world who
and
happens to be here
soul
tonight.
In
So
general.
thanks for being here.
Don't sleep.
Yes.
And Laura.
Hello. Yeah, my question is what inspires you guys about each other's work?
Ooh. I love this. I love this question. Yeah, question.
Actually, I'll take this one.
Okay.
I will say that
Just
I will
give
say
it to
I will
me.
take this one because my love for poetry, a lot of it comes from the fact that no one writes more terrible poetry than myself. I can write academically, nonfiction, maybe dab in a little fiction, but poetry to me there's an alchemy and a mystery behind it, and there's a magic behind it, and it's one of those things that when you encounter it and it moves you, it's undeniable. And that's, to me, poetry is this great, great mystery, which is kind of where my passion for it comes from, for showcasing and creating this anthology. And poetry of all the art forms, literary art forms, I think, is the hardest now to access, like for people. So this is hopefully a means by which it creates greater access and an archive for people to be able to engage with poetry. These 4 poets, Francis is an upcoming one. Brian Talwar is in the audience, upcoming one. Their work amazes me, and I don't know why. Like, other than the fact that I'm deeply moved by it, I mean, I could go on forever, but no one wants to hear that. But it is one of those things where what they do, how they do it, I don't know the process, and I actually don't want to, because I just love being in the audience and being just like, it's just amazing. It's amazing to be here. It's amazing to be able to curate something like this and partner with the library and to especially feature these artists. I think that's about it from anybody else.
You wanna go?
I think I could do it. Okay. I think I can do it. I found enough where I might be able to explain. I'm not sure. Kyunghee has this way of taking something that is too complex to really metabolize and to break it down, but to also break it down where her voice is medicine. So the breakdown is medicine, and the texture and the tone of her voice is medicine. And so anytime Kyunghee is reading anywhere, I am there. Emily, you are brilliant and funny, and you make you make the hard like laughable, and then we're together in the laughing of it when we didn't know how to be together in the hard. And Chace, I live with and get to hear him do this every day all the time, and Chace is like, as brilliant as he is here, y'all should see him. He's Rain Manning as he's washing dishes. I was telling Zilka earlier, who's Zilka, thank you for being here, and PBS, thank you. And I was telling Zilka that I have this like ridiculous privilege of walking by Chace all day, and he's just constantly in this vortex of words and churning, and the energy around him has to be creative. He makes creativity happen, and it's such a privilege to be there. And Chen has to be one of the most inspiring polymaths that I've ever met, who is so incredibly giving and kind and bringing community together. And it's hard to bring community together, but on top of that, he's an artistic genius. And he's inviting you constantly in to collaborate on something that you're like, oh my God, this exists? this exists because you made it exist. And you made it exist, and you let me like be in this with you because you are so ridiculously generous. So that is why I'm inspired, and that is why anytime any of these people ask me to do anything, I'm like, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
And I'm going to talk that talk for you. I'm going to talk that talk. I do also live with her. And so what I enjoy, thank you for saying those words. That was beautifully encapsulated. What I love first about Sherina, and I will walk it down the other way, is that I believe, this is tough because you're the love of my life, but I'll center on this right now. When you bring, first of all, I've always called you like a soul surgeon. I think you hold other people tender in the poetry. I think you open and close and heal in the time it takes to read a poem in a way I've never heard before in my life. And I think that you are also an evangelist of the spirit outside of church, where you land, where you use your voice as a church and you make everybody sacred. And it's one of the things I love the most about you. You turn the person into the art. You turn you transform that pain into an art that is beautiful, that we can hold better, and I really appreciate that. And if I'm in a vortex of art, you are also in a vortex of art, because she's always coming around me like, I have another idea. And so we get here because of the ideas that you have, and I thank you for that. I thank you for opening portals for us so much, and I love you. I will agree that Chen is the Nick Fury of bringing people together, and anybody who's watched a Marvel film can understand that. Because he's an assembler of people. Yes, you get a lot of credit for that, but you're also an incredible talent who they think they can pull up on. And your car is bulletproof and you already have contingency plans. So you're an incredible polymath. Your music is amazing. He also makes music. He didn't mention that. It's beautiful, beautiful music. Please go check it out. And you're an incredible artist and assembler of people, and I love you for bringing us together time and time again. You're a doer. Kyunghee, you are the tenderest poetry reader I've ever heard. You tenderly hold us, and you take these really big concepts, and you bring them right here and make us feel it. You did that with time today, and I've never conceived time the way you've talked about time today, and I really, really appreciate every time I get to hear you read your work. Thank you for that. I can't wait for your book of poems. Can't wait. And Emily, I hadn't heard you read before today. I had not heard you read before today, and it was an honor hearing you, because we were over there laughing, and I was really excited to see what you brought. And my God, genius poetry, you bring the surprise, and I appreciate that in work. I did not know what to anticipate, and even as I was hearing you, every line was a surprise, so I really appreciate you opening that door of surprise over and over again with your work. And I agree, laughter and bringing us into harder things in a way that we can hold them and deal with them. So I appreciate you, and I look forward to hearing more. Thank you. That's it.
Yeah, I think that's. I do want to thank one more person. I forgot to thank Journey at the library, who handles events, and then my wife, Jamie, who we will do not ask her about what it's like to live with me. That is what you are prohibited from doing. You will sign NDAs. But other than that, thank you all for coming. Hope you have a great and hopefully warm. It's 50. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah. Thank you again. And that's a wrap. That's a wrap. That is a wrap.
Thank you all for coming. And we just appreciate this work so much. It was a beautiful evening. Thank you.
Thank you.